Welcome back to another episode of Student of the Game. I'm your host, Brad Noll. Happy New Year. This is our first episode that's being launched in 2025. I'm really excited about this. There's a couple directions we could go. We could do a recap of last year. We could do an overview of what's coming this year. But one of the things that's been on my heart a lot is this relationships win concept. This concept we built around doing business relationally. I want to talk to you today. I actually want to convince you to adopt this framework. So over the holidays, had some time to reflect and think and watch Moneyball. Love that movie. Whether you're a baseball fan or not, Moneyball is a great movie with Brad Pitt. And Moneyball is all about the premise of Moneyball is about buying runs. Like, how does a team score on a limited budget? So we're going to take a deep dive into this. This is the relationships win framework, and we're going to explain this to you in baseball terms. So you don't have to be a baseball fan. This is actually pretty easy to understand and to get. So there's three main points that we want to give you in this relationships win framework. The first point is the power of building genuine connections. All right, we're going to talk about going around the bases. What's first base look like? What's second base look like? What's third base look like? And what is scoring a run, or what is a home run or home plate look like? And the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to talk about the power of building genuine connections. All right. After that, the turning point. We're going to talk about what the turning point is. How can you have a turning point in your business? That's really what that's all about. And then the third point is going to be from introduction to sale. What do you do? The first one, the power of building a genuine connection, that's about being a good human. All right. And at some point, there's a critical point in the sales process where you've got to solve a problem, right? The only reason a business exists is to solve a problem. My uncle Donald Miller says this: the only reason a business exists is to solve a problem. So we're going to talk about that turning point. What problem do you solve? And then once you hit that turning point, there's going to be an introduction or a referral that's made. How do you take that introduction and turn it into a sale? All right. Those are our talking points for today. All right, let's dive into first base. All right. So first base, what is first base? In the sales cycle, what is first base? I would encourage you that getting on base or getting to first base is connect. When you connect with somebody, you're starting to build a relationship. What does a connection look like? It could be a text message. It could be a phone call. It could be going to coffee or lunch or playing golf with somebody. A connection can be a personal note. There's a lot of ways to connect with people. All right. But this is where the start of genuine relationships are formed. I think there's a lot of small gestures. I think you stay curious. A word that comes to me when I think of connect with people is authentic. All right. So we're going to talk about the good ways to connect, but also we're going to talk about the bad ways to connect. We're going to talk about the good ways for, developing conversations, but we're going to talk about the bad ways as well. But first base is really just connect. You got to get to first base. You got to connect with people. All right. Connection. What I want to do is, as I'm explaining this, I'd love for you to kind of figure out where you're at. All right. I'm recording this for my team. I'm recording this for sales training. We are getting ready to throw a business mixer, and we're going to give this as a gift to people. This episode as a gift to people. So if you came to our mixer and you're listening to this, thank you so much for coming to our mixer. If you missed it and couldn't make it, we hope you get to the next one. But our goal is to connect. We want to connect with as many people as we can, and connecting is a form of building relationships. Next, what's second base? Second base is having conversations. Like, a lot of times you connect. Have you ever connected with somebody and maybe it's through a text message or a phone call, and you left a message and they didn't call you back? There was no conversation. Maybe you're trying to schedule an appointment. Yeah, everybody's done this. I know you've done this. Hey, we should get together sometime. Yeah, no, that sounds great. Let me check my schedule. Okay, cool. All right. Have a great day. And then do you actually get together? No. Building a true relationship is about taking it to the next level. So that's great. We connected. We just agreed we should go deeper. We agreed we should have a conversation. We agreed we should meet up for breakfast and break bread or do something. But then it never happens, right? So second base is having a conversation. Okay, so we get to first base. That's connecting with people. Second base is having a conversation with people. Through conversations, all right, my goal is to listen for needs. What needs do people have? How can I connect them with other great people? How can I be looked at as a connector in my database? Through the people that I know, right? Through the people that I know, I want to be known as a connector. How do I do that? Well, I have to look for needs. I have to fill needs. I have to focus on other people. One of our core values, our very first core value, is to serve others. So when I connect with people, I can connect to serve. I can have conversations to serve. Well, then what happens after that? After you break bread, after you have a conversation with somebody, after you spend time with them face to face, belly to belly, you kind of pick up on some needs. And those needs would be third base. There's an introduction that needs to be made. Maybe somebody that I know needs to be introduced to the person I just met. It could help them solve their problem. We say in our real estate business, we're looking for people who are going through lifestyle changes, who need to make a change in their housing. Those are the people we're looking for. So if I'm connecting with somebody, if I'm having conversations with people and they know somebody, they have a friend who's just getting married, they have a friend who is getting a divorce, they have a friend who took a new job and needs to move away, they have a friend or a family member who's downsizing, empty nesting. All of these lifestyle changes are people we want to be introduced to. We want to be introduced to people going through those changes. Well, sometimes I have people call me and say, "Hey, I need a carpet cleaner. Hey, I need an accountant." Now, that's this time of year. A lot of people need accountants, right, to get their taxes done. They took a new job. Maybe they got a bonus. They don't know how to, file their taxes online anymore because their income's a little tricky. People ask us for introductions all the time. And sometimes we're on the receiving end of those. Sometimes we're on the giving end of the introductions, but sometimes we're on the receiving end of those. I can't control that. What I can control is how many people I connect with, how many times I have great conversations with people, how many times I can be an active listener. That's really getting from first base to second base. Once we understand that there's a problem that needs to be solved, right? And rarely, like it's a numbers game. I may have, 50 connections before I have one conversation. I may have 20 connections before I have one conversation. It may take me 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 conversations to even find somebody who has a need or a problem that needs solved. And in my line of work, it's real estate, helping people buy and sell homes. And I may not get that introduction. It's a numbers game, and that's okay. You have to be okay with that. Third base is the introduction. All right. And when you get that introduction, right, now you're solving a problem. And the introduction will then lead to a sale. And in this framework, we're thinking of sales as scoring runs. Like we have a goal. We want to sell X amount of homes, each year. Our team this year wants to help 225 families move. Well, it's going to take most likely about 300 to 400 introductions. It's going to take 300 to 400 introductions. It's going to take about 10,000 times we connect with people in our community. And we keep track of that. It's a framework. I get up in the morning and, I have a framework, right? You take a big gulp of water, because you're dehydrated at night when you get older. Maybe you weigh yourself. Maybe you have your coffee. There's a framework to what you do every day. There should be a framework to building your sales, to building your database, to growing your business, to growing your mission or your ministry, whatever it is you do. Maybe you're a commercial banker. You're looking for people who, need big lines of credit because they're growing their business. And you need to have more conversations with people that are in that space. So there's levels to this. Let's go back. First base, let's connect. Second base, let's have a conversation. Third base, that's get an introduction. Fourth base, that's scoring. So in the Moneyball theory, they're trying to figure out how do we buy runs, right? Not buy players, who have the biggest contracts or the biggest names. They want to know who gets on base. And this is what we're teaching our team right now. Who gets on base? Did you know? I found this interesting. So I researched baseball a little bit. Last year, in a game in the major leagues, the average team threw about 145 pitches. 145 pitches. And do you know that only 5% of the time the ball got hit or the runner got to first base? 5%. Isn't that crazy? 5%. So the stats are the same, right? Like it took 145 pitches for runners to get on 5% of the time. So these numbers, let's do this. Let's start here. Let's talk about networking. You just came to our event as a networking event. Networking. In the word itself, net, you have to cast out a net. You have to have people. You have to have a large group of people that you're having conversations with, that you're connecting with. Okay, that's your net. The smaller your net, the fewer people you have, the lower your results are going to be. The bigger the net, the more people you connect with, the bigger your results are going to be. But it's networking. My mentor calls some people, they do net waiting. Right? Have you ever been to a networking event? You give someone your business card, you wait, and it's like, that didn't work. That event didn't work. I didn't get any business from that. Nobody donated to my ministry or my mission because I went to that event or that dinner. You ever thought about that? I mean, we're talking about the relationships win framework. How do you score runs? How do you make sales? How do you get donations? Whatever it is you're looking to do, grow your database. How do you get wins or runs? Through building relationships. So I go back to Lindsay and I. So our story is we met in the sixth grade. We didn't go on a date and get married. That would be like connecting and then winning, right? Like, no, it takes time. I had to connect. We had to have conversations. Like, there's a process to that. There's a process to building relationships through business, and it's the relationships win framework. So as we get talking about this, and we want to kind of highlight a few things. If you're coming to our networking event and you think coming to our networking event is going to lead to an introduction to make a sale, you're wrong. I mean, could it? Yeah. The likelihood of it happening, no, it's low. It's a low probability. So let's dive into what is connecting. All right. So here's an example of what winning looks like when it comes to connecting. At a networking event, you approach somebody new, you start a genuine conversation, you're authentic, you show curiosity and enthusiasm for them. You ask them questions, you get to know who they are, what they're trying to do, maybe their background, you exchange contact information, and then maybe you follow up with a message and go to coffee, right? That's winning. That's connecting at a networking event. Um, Losing at a networking event. You ready? You hand out your business card to as many people. You bring 50 business cards, you hand one out to everybody. You don't follow up with anybody. You never had a genuine conversation, and you expect results. Yeah, I don't have you ever said this? I don't go to networking events. I don't network. They don't work. No, think about that. Your mindset to a networking event may not work. Your mindset to your database right now. If you're somebody right now who's listening, you have a database and you want to grow your business, your ministry, or your mission, and there's some resistance. You may want to ask yourself, where are you right now? What base do you need the most help with? Maybe you need help connecting. There's a lot of people that struggle connecting with others, and I get it. A lot of times people buy into this concept of, um, I'm an introvert or an extrovert. Oh, I'm an introvert. I don't go to those things. If I could be bold for just a second, I think failing to connect with people is one of the most selfish things there is. Because when you don't connect with other people, you're making it about yourself. I don't know what to say. They don't want to hear from me. I don't know what questions to ask. You're making it about yourself. Connecting is about the other person. This is about being a good human, right? This isn't rocket science. This is how to build a business or a mission or a ministry through relationship. And you've got to connect. And so winning at connections is asking questions, taking an interest, being authentic, and then following up and going deeper, getting to know them again and again and again. I had to take Lindsay on a bunch of dates before she married me. Still dating her, actually. It's the fun part. What does losing look like? Well, we just said. Have you been to an event? I've been to these. I've been to whether it's real estate conference or a seminar or something, and I go to my seat, and there's a business card with maybe some chewing gum. There's a business card with maybe some, nuts or a box of mints or something, right? It's like something's branded. They have a bookmark with their name and number on it, and it's like it's just sitting there. That's not a connection. That's like an advertisement. I don't know this person, but they want me to remember who they are, but they just said so. Thanks for the gum, by the way. Thanks for the, kind bar. Thanks for something to eat while I'm sitting for 2 hours at this event. But that's losing. All right. That's losing when you're making connections. Connections is authentic, and it's something that shows I want to take this to the next level. I want to create a conversation. I want to get to know you better. So second base, what is second base? Remember second base? Second base is conversations. I believe, and I've heard this from a lot of people, all conversion happens through conversation. So people that think they can just connect with somebody and make a sale, you're wrong. This actually happened one time. I do remember this. But this, generally speaking, connecting with somebody and making a sale rarely ever happens. I do remember this. One time, it was the middle of the day. I didn't have any appointments the rest of the afternoon. So I went to the Y and worked out. It was like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Bumped into a guy that I knew. I knew the guy. He knew me. I knew him. But our paths don't cross enough to really just stay connected. I go work out. He's there. He's like, Brad, oh my gosh, we've just had 2 realtors over to talk to him about selling our house. We're not comfortable with any of them yet. Would you want to come over and help us with our house? Absolutely. Of course I do. That is a rare occurrence. In 21 years, that's one time that I remember I just showed up somewhere and somebody said, oh, Brad, hey, come sell my house. That connection typically doesn't work that way. So what is second base? Second base is conversations. Conversations. A great example of a conversation is, during a meeting, it's active listening. I always love to say, act like a good journalist. A good journalist asks the next question, the follow-up question. An example of that would be, you watch any game, all right? There's the national championship football game was just on. You probably watched it and they say, how does it feel? How does it feel to be a national champ? And they're like, oh, it feels great. I want to thank the Lord. I want to thank my teammates. I want to thank my mom and dad for driving me to practice, yada, yada. And then a great journalist asked the next question. Okay, so when you were down with 3 minutes to go and they had the ball, what were you guys thinking? Like, that's a great follow-up question, right? So I would just encourage you, when you're having conversations with people, act like a good journalist. Ask the next question. It shows that you're listening. It shows you're paying attention. If I go to connect with somebody and I want something, I'm not being authentic. If if I go and connect with somebody and then we end up going to coffee or breakfast or we go golfing and I'm expecting to make a sale, then that's still all about me, right? That's not a serve others mentality. So winning is acting like a good journalist. Share insights, share lessons, share war stories. Let people know that you're vulnerable too. Hey, this is what I'm struggling with in my business. What are you struggling with right now? How can we help each other? Like, that's a conversation. Hey, how's the family? What are you working on? What's one of your goals? Be curious. Again, a losing example. Oh, this is a sales pitch. I'm gonna tell them all about my business, my product, my service. I'm gonna let them know that I'm the best in the market. And here's why I'm the best in the market. All of us have been in that meeting where we leave being like, wow, that person talked a lot. I don't know if they know what they're talking about, but they're pretty nice. They talked a lot. That's losing. Like, nobody wants to then take it a step further. If I'm having a conversation with somebody at some point, all right, and we're talking business specifically here, but at some point, we're going to ask or we're going to figure out, what problem does this person solve? And if you can't communicate the problem you solve to people, we help people save time, reduce their stress, and help them keep as much money in their pocket as possible when they're buying or selling a home. And we do this with a team approach. We eradicate mediocre real estate transactions. This is a problem that we solve. We help people that are going through lifestyle changes with their housing change. There's a lot of problems that we're solving in the community right now through real estate. But we got to get to the place of, if I don't ask that question, then nobody's going to ask me. It's like a tennis match, right? You're volleying back and forth. You're staying curious. You're asking them questions. You do not want to dominate the conversation. It's going to feel so transactional. You've been there. I've been there. You don't want to feel transactional when you're having conversations with people. And by having great conversations over time, I can't control what happens next. I can control how many people I connect with. I can control, the conversations that I'm having during the day. I can't control what happens next. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go connect with more people. I'm not going to sit there and wait. It's not net waiting. It's networking. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go connect with more people, and I'm going to go have more conversations with people, and I'm going to go connect with more people and have more conversations with people. And over time, what's going to happen is, when I'm displaying my character and my competency of the work that I do, there will be a need in the marketplace. There will be a problem that needs solved. And when that happens, my goal is to be top of mind so that the introduction can be made. How many times you've received a business card? Maybe right now, maybe you're embarrassed because I'm about to call you out. Maybe your business card on the back says, "We love referrals. We're never too busy for referrals." That's great. I get it. I love referrals too. Funny story is, my kids come home and they're like, "Dad, so-and-so got a referral today." I'm like, "That's awesome." They're like, "No, it's not. That means you went to the principal's office." In school, referral is bad. So we're not going to use that word referral. It's an introduction, right? So I'm looking for introductions. You're looking for introductions. So what happens during the introduction phase? Well, that's where the shortstop's at. That's where the real talk, the real conversations happen. The real conversations, when there's a problem that needs solved, we can step in and solve that problem. And then we can't control what happens after that. But if we did a good job displaying our character and our competence, and we stay top of mind with people, an introduction's made. Not one for one. It never is. It's not one connection, one sale. It's not one conversation, one sale. It's not one introduction, one sale. If you've been in business long enough, or you've been at your craft long enough, it definitely, there's definitely ratios to this. So what is home? Home plate, scoring a run, successfully closing a deal. You celebrate with the client, send them a thank you note. And then you do? You start over again. You keep connecting with them. You can take this framework and consistently show up and controlling the amount of connections you make the quality of connections you make, the amount of conversations you have, the quality of conversations you have. That's being human. That's being a good human. Being a good human is about connecting and having great conversations with people. First base and second base are about being a great human. Then there's a point where you've got to be a great business person. You've got to be great at your craft. You have to display. You have to show people how you solve problems, and then introductions will happen. And then once the introductions happen, you have to have the heart of a teacher. You have to gracefully walk people through your sales process. One of my mentors also told me the best salespeople in the world help people make decisions. So it's not about making a sale. It's how do I help people make decisions? How do I bring clarity to a confusing process? That's where I need to elevate myself. That's where I need to work on my craft. How do I help people make great decisions? All right. And that's from the introduction to the sale. What does losing look like? We've all seen this. We've all done this probably. We've all gotten busy. So this is not an excuse. This is just real. You close a deal and you move on to the next person. And that, my friends, is a transactional mindset. My heart is that when we sell a home, when we close on a transaction, when we get somebody the keys that they've been waiting for, they've been dreaming for, that we just start this process over again. And the relationships win framework begins with connecting, because we want to be a good human. We want to have conversations, and we want to find needs, and then we want to fill those needs. And then this repeats over and over and over again until we've cemented ourselves as the person that they think of when they hear somebody wanting to buy or sell real estate. Or if you're a banker, people who need a loan. If you work in a t-shirt business, teams that need jerseys or sweatshirts or swag. There's so many examples of this. Like whatever you do for a living, the goal is to be top of mind. Well, how do you be top of mind? You put your needs aside. You set some big goals, all right? Don't get me wrong. You go set big goals. But then you put your needs aside and you go be a great human. You go connect with as many people as you can. You go have conversations with as many people as you can. When the time is right and somebody that they know, somebody that they care about has a problem that you can solve, step right into that. Use your gifts. Use your skill sets, your knowledge. Step right into that and help them solve their problem. The introduction then will lead to the sale. And that, my friends, is the relationships win framework. So back to the 3 points. The first point was the power of building genuine connections. That's about first base and second base. We talked about connecting and having meaningful conversations. It's literally the foundation, not just for business, but for relationship building. We talked about being authentic, that relationship builds trust and it opens doors. I connect with people that have no business or no interest in buying or selling a home. Keep this in mind. There are people that will make your life better by knowing them. And it's not just about what can I get in terms of sales? What can I get for my business? There's things that in my life has been elevated because of the people I've connected with who are never going to buy a home. And that's okay. I think you've kind of heard some of the stories, the personal stories or examples where, connecting led to something that wasn't really expected. That does happen. The second point was just the turning point. Knowing okay, go be a good human. You can control that. You can control being a good human. You can't control the number of introductions to a degree. You can't control the number of sales to a degree. You can influence it. You can't control it. So there's this turning point where real talk happens, where somebody's asking you questions about what you do for a living because they know somebody, maybe it's them, that are going through something that they need your solutions for. Real talk transforms relationships from casual to impactful. And it's all about identifying the problems and helping people understand how you offer solutions. I think at this point, nobody likes to be a good salesperson. Nobody likes to be a pushy salesperson. Everybody likes to be a good salesperson. But I believe the best salesperson is not pushy at all. So you see, a pushy salesperson is because that person believes a connection results in a sale. Everybody can smell it. Everybody can see it. A connection that results in a sale is pushy. There's a process. There's a framework for this. I want to be a consultant. I want to be a real estate advisor. I want to help people through this process that's stressful, that takes a lot of time, that mistakes cost thousands of dollars extra. I want to be a consultant. I want to be an advisor. And I can't do that by connecting and making a sale. But by following this framework, I can do that. There's lots of problems that we solve. And if you're great at connecting and you're great at conversations, but you're kind of scared to put yourself out there and talk about the problems that you solve, I mean, we solve problems every single day. I can tell you all day long about clients that get divorced and we're right there with them, walking alongside them. Clients that just got a promotion and they're super excited to buy their dream home. Clients that are moving across the country to be closer to family. Clients that are downsizing because their kids left. Clients that want to downsize but they can't leave because their adult children are still living with them. And the adult children can't buy a house because they haven't saved up enough money yet. These are all the problems that we walk alongside people and help them solve. And so take some time. If you're not in the real estate business, if I'm not speaking directly to you, I'm speaking directly to you because this is the point where you need to write down and identify all the people you can help, all the problems you can solve. And then you need to communicate that. And don't be bashful. Third point we talked about is from introduction to sale. Relationships drive referrals. When you're working with people who are introduced to you, you can focus on the process, you can focus on the advice, on the consultation. You don't have to focus on being pushy. The introduction was already made. The sale was already made. You're sitting in front of them. Now go be great at solving their problem. Trust and credibility lead to introductions and referrals. And now it's up to you to create tangible results and outcomes that will have them telling their friends and family. I cannot stress enough how gratitude and nurturing these relationships after the sale, how impactful those are, how important those are. So once that sale's made, you start back over and you start connecting again. In our world, it's, hey, 30 days after you move in, we want to send you a list of places maybe you can donate to. You'll figure out what you don't need anymore. Maybe that couch doesn't fit. Maybe you wanted to get a new bed or bed frame or whatever, and the one from the apartment doesn't work, so you want to donate those. So we're going to come alongside you and find out ways to connect after the fact. In my eyes, the sale is the beginning of a new, more fruitful, and even deeper relationship with our clients. And I think you should feel the same way. Like some businesses, it takes a lot of sales to make your year go. That's okay. Some businesses, it takes a few sales. But I think the goal should be to continue to deepen relationships after the sale. So my encouragement to you is take a look at this relationships win framework. This is coming out right before our business mixer. Remember, it's networking. It's not net weighting. Networking is casting your net out and connecting with a bunch of people. And then working really hard to build relationships and having conversations and figuring out where you can fill needs. Because when you get to first base, that's connecting. You get to second base, that's creating conversations. When you create conversations, you can uncover some needs that maybe their friends or family is going to have. Then you have a real conversation how you can solve their problem. You get an introduction, and that introduction will then lead to a sale. I'm going to be talking about this all year. Just so you know, this is the framework, how to build relationships in the workplace. If you came to our networking event, thank you so much. Our goal every single year just keeps getting bigger and bigger because it's a great event. And the reason it's a great event, and I can tell you it's a great event, not bragging, this isn't arrogant. The reason it's a great event, because our team truly wants to help other people win. Our goal and our mission is to help others win. And we're not having a networking event so that we can hand out our business cards and people can buy homes. We're not doing that. We actually want to know, who do you want to meet? So be thinking about that. Who do you want to meet? Who's somebody you want to meet? And for us, we've defined this. We want to meet people going through a lifestyle change, that they need to make a change in their housing. Those are the types of people. So if you know somebody who's going through a lifestyle change that might need to just make a change in their housing, maybe they just need to have a conversation at a kitchen table. I'd love to connect with them. Define who it is that you would like to meet. All right. And that's what we talked about at our networking event. So because we like to help other people win, that's what we did at our networking event. Think about that throughout this year. We're going to be teaching this as a team. We're going to be focused on this as a team. This isn't about selling something. This is about connecting, having conversations, getting introductions, and then the sale happens. I hope you found a small way to master these fundamentals. This is fundamental. The relationships win framework is fundamental. It doesn't change. The strategies and the tactics, they do change. The strategies to connect, the strategies to have conversations, the strategies for introductions, those do change. But the fundamentals do not. It's a pleasure serving you. This is season 3 of Student of the Game. We want to help you win. Thanks for listening.